Welcome to the Sanity Project podcast, the place for internet technology professionals whose work-life balance plan has imploded. We are here to provide solutions that will help the IT pro live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. Here's your host, Joanne Victoria.
Hi, this is Joanne Victoria, and I'm the host of the Sanity Project podcast, and I partner with IT pros in the telecommunications, technology, entertainment, and mass media industries whose work-life integration plan has imploded and who want more success, more confidence, more fun, and more inner peace. And the Sanity Project podcast is a platform for experts in the personal development and IT communities to share their wisdom, expertise, and solutions that will help the IT pro live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. And our guest today is going to deal with happiness. Let me introduce to you Vernon L. Brown. With over 15 years' experience as a trainer and coach, Vernon L. Brown is the happiness and success coach. He has a proven background in his transformational lifestyle vision and mental clarity, having coached thousands of clients across the country. A member of the International Coaching Federation, ICF, Vernon combines his style of tailoring his coaching to the clients with a pragmatic and easy to understand approach, allowing clients to get the space and understanding they need to create more successful and happier lives. Welcome to the show, Vernon L. Brown.
Thank you, Joanne, for having me. I do appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad that you're here because I think people need to know more about how to become happy.
Right on.
Well, it's just, and I don't know where you live, but where I live, it's overcast like 2/3 of the year. So what I think you're going to be talking about today is how people tend to identify with their struggles and their experiences in life, which can stop them from being happy. Is that more or less what it sounds like?
That is right on target what we're going to be talking about. Yes.
Okay, cool. So how can you help people understand and, first learn that they don't have to identify with their struggles as being a loser or a victim,
right?
Because that's what happens. How can you help these people?
Immediate first reaction for what you just said is it's not you. It's what you're going through. It's what you're experiencing. It might even be what you're familiar with, but it is not you. And one of the first ways that I go about like really pulling that apart so you can look at it differently, because that's what we're talking about here. It's a perspective shift. Once you're not identify as yourself, you can really see a solution. Is I always start with a great question such as, how would your best friend Susie, Billy, handle this? So people can stop becoming what they're experiencing. And that's what gets so many people stuck. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, that's okay. Just keep talking because that's the perfect thing. I think people, years ago, I used to run some workshops for women because, women. But they were identifying with their struggles now that you're talking here. And what I had them do was I had a paper bag and I had labels in there with different names on them. At the time, I think it was a long time ago, but I had Cher and whoever was popular and powerful at the time as a powerful woman. Mm-hmm. And the women had to go up in front of the room, choose a label and put it on, but not look at it. And then the audience would give them identifiers as to who this person was. Well, those identifiers turned out to be qualities that the individual already had but never acknowledged.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yes. And once they used those identifiers and how to reframe in front of the room, the world changed. And that's just what you said about, how would Joe handle this?
Right.
Which releases them from the stress.
Exactly. If we can become encumbered with the whatever circumstance may be, big or small, short-term or long-term, but you got to figure out a way, and what you did was an excellent way of shifting that perspective so you don't wear it anymore. It could be, let's say you're doing some type of server maintenance. If you're getting hammered, constantly, day and night, night and day, I understand how that happens. The next step here is, what are we going to do about it? So my first go-to is to pull that lens out and really examine it from with a different set of eyes.
So you would do an exercise or a process with them about whose eyes they can see this through?
Yeah, that's one way. Another way is I get them to write it out. I just pick a word. If you could pick one word to identify what this feels like or what is going through. And what happens is, let's just say someone's having some type of financial problems. When they write it out and they really look at it, and we kind of pick out the emotion and look at the logical steps we can do to release, whatever the pressure is, it really starts creating more solutions for them. A lot of times when we become our struggle, we start emotionally taking it on, which emotionally holds us down from finding more options, opportunities, possibilities, and solutions.
That's perfect. Keep
It's,
going. I'm happy, Mr. Happy.
because that's what it's about. It's options, opportunities, possibilities, and solutions. When you have those, and I call that oops thinking, it is the game changer and really getting to the nuts and bolts of a solution. But when you don't have another option, you feel like whatever that circumstance is, that's what you have. This is it. You automatically will take it on.
Options, opportunities, possibilities, and solutions. Is that correct?
That is right. So, Joanne, oftentimes, whatever circumstance that we become, identify with, it's something that we might have identified with in the past. Now, I'm not trying to say go back into the past, but why does this keep happening to me is one way that it shows up. And it's more so once you kind of get that framework developed, then you really start pulling things together, pulling things onto yourself that really start weighing you down. So whenever I'm with the client, I'm like, hey, let's do our best to avoid language like that. What can we do right here with the options that we have? Because once you start really going to your past and you almost kind of marry that circumstance, especially if it's something that seems to repeat itself, and our brains have this awesome ability of making connections when they're not even really there. And it's about pulling it apart and not making it, about the past, but into the here and now. And that's when we can get more options versus looking at it as something that I never dealt with in the past. And so now it's coming to bite me in the bottom in the future or in the present.
Well, my experience and my research about it is that we don't remember exactly what happened because between then and now, other things have occurred that have mishmashed in our brain, and we've reframed what occurred, and then we mush it into the current feeling, as you're saying, with my professional word mush. We mush it we push it into the current issue and decide, aha, that's what it was, when that may not be it at all.
Right. And when I have someone who's really going down that rabbit hole, I will do things. For example, I'll make someone clap. Tell me what's going on and start clapping. And they all like, what? And I'm like, clap and tell me what's going on. Keep talking. You can't do it. They will not be able to do it. And that puts them and back into their driver's seat of whatever they need to get done or wherever they can find a solution with, because you cannot clap and then think about what's wrong, quote, quote. And once you do that, I can finally talk to the person so I can pull that out so that person can look at what's really going on so we can get to a solution.
This is perfect because the brain can only handle, it's like watching TV and trying to listen to whatever is being said and read the scroll underneath at the same time. It can't be done.
Cannot.
People don't know that.
And it's just whatever is necessary and whatever I have to do to get my client, because I literally am hyper-focused on them at that moment, is to get them freed up. I've got to get it. I've got to do it. I'm trying to think though. Go on, Joanna. I was about to cut you off.
What?
Oh, I thought I cut you off.
No, I'm just listening. That's okay. I'm also thinking of things to do in another, like jump up and down. You can't jump up and you can't have a physical movement with a mental movement in that manner about remembering crap from your past. Another professional observation. Crappy mush.
Yeah. My clients, and these are the ones that came and they were like head scratchers. I'm like, what is the best way, or what's going to be the fastest way? And when you talk about perspective shift, if you ask someone to walk backwards and tell them and repeat what's going on, it really confuses their brain, really confuses them, because one, you're walking backwards. Now it puts you in an emotional state of what's behind me. And it stops put you into that, what's wrong with me or what's wrong with this, whatever could be going on in life. It's just like you just mentioned, just get that body involved. It just changes things completely. And they look at themselves differently.
That's amazing. I think that is really important, and you're giving some good techniques that people can use even today, even without you overseeing their lives as a coach. Although probably after this, people will want to call you, and I'll give out your contact information soon, but I want them to listen first. This is what I want them to do. And those of you who are listening right now, remember to refer this podcast to other people who who have been stuck. My other professional word, we have mush, we have stuck, and the third one I forgot. And crap. Stop, crap, mushy crap. What the strategies that Vernon L. Brown is giving you are easy to do, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't call him up and have a conversation.
No, and exactly. A lot of things are easy, and it's easy to, clap your hands or jump up and down, but you got to get over the silliness factor that kind of kicks in. When I work with my clients, often virtually, they're like, what? I'm not doing that. People are in the room or I'm just going to feel awkward. And it's like, okay, well, now we're over that. Let's get into it. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Be awkward.
Well, a lot of times what gets people stuck is that we're afraid to be awkward. It's okay. Be like a kid again. Shake it off and let's have some fun with this. You've practiced, being stressed out about it. Let's have some awkwardness here. And inviting those type of emotions in there too is another strategy. It's, looking at it with, a more exciting perspective. How can we have some more fun with this?
Yeah, if there's no fun in anything, it's really difficult to achieve success.
Right.
And then people are afraid to step out of the very, very, very tight circle they have around themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've said, listeners, you can do some of these things yourself, but you might give up. And that's what a good coach helps you do. A good coach helps you to stay in the game.
Absolutely.
And Vernon has enough information to help you stay in the game and do it, even if he says jump up and down when you're at your desk or cube or wherever you are. Or just leave and go to the bathroom and talk to him from there. It's a safe place.
You're right. It is a safe place.
Nobody's going to bother you.
You got some great points there. And what you just said really triggered something here. It's kind of combined what I said initially. We as humans, we think so complex sometimes, and sometimes we think so simply. And one thing that I have learned and I really appreciate is the perspective of children. Everything that we needed in life was taught to us in childhood. I am an adamant believer of that. I give speeches on that about be like a kid again. And I say this because when we look at things from a younger, more simplistic or sophisticated, from a younger, more simplified view, it really becomes like, wow, this is all that I have to do. You can do this very quickly. One of my clients was really stuck on how the heck can I get this new job? And they had this 2 to 3 page cover letter. I mean, just like an enormous amount of content. And I just asked her, what would your little niece do? She's 16 years old and she wants to apply for a job. How would she handle this? And when she looked at it from like, well, she's younger, so she doesn't have, much overhead. So she would just do this. And she's just, I wouldn't say a reverent humor, but she's more, she has a funnier side than what my client had. And that right there really started shaking the tree, so to speak. And she started realizing, hey, I don't need a 2-page letter. I don't need this much. And she just filled it up with a lot of, to use a professional word, she filled it with so much mush, she really didn't get to the meat and potatoes of things. And that's how she found her solution. It was quick.
Yeah, it comes from trying too hard and not having trust or confidence in enough trust or confidence in oneself.
Yes.
And I like going back to the younger view because when you're 8 or 9 or 10, and I think that's when it's kind of over in a way. You've received all of your training, mostly from school and from your parents, and not all of that is good, because if they gave you the worry gene or the fear gene or the unhappy gene, you've got work to do later on.
Yes, you do.
So what successes have you had? Well, we've got this woman with a double-page cover letter to her probably multi-page resume. Did she get the job that she wanted?
Not with that setup that she had. Now, I can tell you that right now.
Right.
No recruiter wanted to see that. I mean, no offense, but nobody wants to read wanted to read a dissertation. She did get herself employed. It was some work because once we figured out what to do, we had to come up with a strategy to get it done. But she did get her job, and I'm still working with my client to working with her till today. Because it's now I have the job. What are some more options here? More recently, I had one of my clients who was absolutely mortified with a job. They were done. They were worn out. They were working 70 plus hours a week. And they just felt like he, at this instance, felt like he had no other options. And what made this also a double-edged sword, so to speak, was his health started to come into question because of the stress. And it was tough. And it was more so, I can't do anything. I'm stuck in this profession. And that was not true. It was not true at all. This guy was sharp. He was brilliant. He was powerful. He was just like you, Joanne, just like you. And when you have someone who has that edge like that, it's important to realize they can go in any direction they want as long as they choose it. And once we started, let him realize he can become more than what he's currently doing, he took off like a rocket. Absolutely took off. And he went from one really serious profession to another one that really lit him up. He's now an educator right now in a university, and he's having a great time with it.
That's great. I like success stories are important because they validate what we do as coaches. They validate our own existence, and they validate the listener's opinion of us because they go, oh, they're hearing you talk about people that you've helped, certainly people who are employees, which is a little bit different than what we do. We have different issues and problems and curses. But when you're an employee and you feel stuck, you can't even think beyond the nose in front of your face.
Absolutely. So true.
You can't even do that. Well, I want to give your contact information right now. And Vernon L. Brown's website address is www.whatsyourhappy.com. And happy is spelled HAPPI. So it's what's WHAT, S as in Sam, your HAPPI.com. And you can use that on Facebook, on Twitter, and on LinkedIn. And it's there for Instagram, but it's too complicated, and I will just put it in the show notes. And Vernon is also providing an ebook that he has put together just for the listeners to create and track goals and inspirations. You can download it by going to whatsyourhappy.com/podcast. And yeah, that's the way. And then Vernon's email address is vernon@whatsyourhappy.com. If something is coming into your head right now and you've identified with the few examples that Vernon has just placed before you, give him a call. Go check out his website. Take the initiative. You have nothing to lose by picking up the phone or writing an email. Nothing to lose. So just do that. I want to ask you, Vernon, what is the most important thing that has stuck with you through your life? A lesson or an advice? What has stuck with you?
I think if I had to relegate it to one thing, coming from my background, I was so afraid and fearful of so many things. And what the big shift for me was when I realized that anything that can hurt you can also help you. And that gave me the perspective of looking for ways of what I was afraid of, how that can actually, energize me, how they can empower me, how they can help me, and how they can benefit me. And that made me realize that if I was worried about losing my job, let's just say, because there was a time in my life when before I started working for myself, I was a bartender, and I was like, what if I lose my job? And that fear slowly crept in, and I realized, well, that's when I'm going to have the opportunity to find another job and make more money, or, go into be an entrepreneur, which is literally how I kind of, jettisoned myself to this position. But whatever can hurt you can also help you. You just have to find that perspective, find that way.
Okay, so what did you do when that was going on in your body and mind when you were a bartender? I mean, did you go find another bartending job? Did you decide then to help others in this format?
Yeah. So how things played out for me was I was a bartender, and that fear, I'm not sure where it started, and it really doesn't even matter because it worked
No.
out. Um, I said, what can I do here? What are my real options here? And I realized that, well, number one, that fear wasn't real. If I'm employable, I can listen, I pay attention, I have I can walk and chew gum. And I just realized like I had a lot more to give than what I realized. And then from that actually strengthened me because I never really looked at all of my gifts, all the things I really had to offer. And that just really made me more confident just thinking about it that way. And that's how I made the leap to be an entrepreneur.
Well, that's perfect because I understand that. I was in real estate many years ago. I was in real estate and I got bored because I get bored. I just got the kind of, I was helping people, I was making money, and the people were happy, but I was not happy. And I didn't realize at the time that it was my happiness that was more important. I just knew that I was bored. And it was really, really tough to get out of what I was doing because making that shift from real estate broker to anything, and I don't even know what happened next. Oh, I know. That's when I was sitting at my desk in my office, and a friend called me up, and he says, "I have this, seminar I want to talk to you about." I said, "Where is it and how much?" And he said, again, because that was where I lived in Marin County in California, and that's what happened. Everybody took everything. And he said, "No, I want you to present one with me." And I said, "What is it?" And he said, "It's about anger." And I thought, oh, well, at the time, that was great for me. I had to deal with a lot of anger. So I know that anything that can hurt you can also help you is really a great motto. It's really a great plan. It's a lesson. It's a life. You can live your life like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you can.
By just using that and breaking it down, and you do that with your people. Well, I want to thank Vernon L. Brown for being with us today. As I said before, please recommend this podcast to your friends, your frenemies, your coworkers, your parents, your kids. And I would ask that the listeners also go to my website at askjoannevictoria.com and download a free book. It's called The True Self Handbook, A Guide to Transform Your Life. And it has loads of information, and use whatever works best for you. So thank you for being here, Vernon. This has been great. And I will talk to you real soon. Thanks a lot.
Hey, you take care. And to all your listeners out there, stay smiling.
Stay smiling, everybody.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sanity Project podcast. Please go to AskJoanneVictoria.com and continue the conversation on her podcast page. And get a free copy of her book, The True Self Handbook, A Guide to Transform Your Life. That's AskJoanneVictoria.com. Take care, and thanks for being here.